Hey y'all, The Rock is really the greatest superstar to ever grace professional wrestling. Ever. He's the greatest superstar to ever grace professional wrestling, whether it be WWE or WWF, WCW, ECW, any of that. Hands down. Like, I'm gonna be real, I've been watching wrestling clips and I've been watching the old wrestling clips of The Rock, and I remember how I felt when The Rock used to come down that ramp. Fam, the building would explode. Like, you really had to live through that era to really appreciate that. The everybody would stand on their feet. The cameras would pan around the entire arena as his music hit. As his music hit, when he was coming down the ramp, all they had to hear was his music. They wouldn't even see him. They would hear the music and just all stand up and roar. Like we at the damn Super Bowl or something. Like, it was his aura, his energy, his charisma was just that magnetic that you had to pay attention to whatever he was doing. Seriously, like, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, man. The Rock is the reason why I followed professional wrestling from 1999 on. Like, I stopped watching it for real, really, like, after The Rock left for real. Like, around 2005, 2004, I stopped watching it at that time. But from 99 to 2004, 2005, I was locked in. Because I really wanted, like, that man was just that, he was just that electric. That's why he said he's the most electrifying superstar of all time and of all of sports and entertainment. You know, like, I think about The Rock's career. The Rock only wrestled full time for 7 years, and he accomplished way more than a lot of guys who've been wrestling for 20-some years have. In that short time period, he achieved everything a lot of wrestlers ever want to achieve. He was a 7-time, he was a 6-time, you know, he became like 7-time after he came back in the latest stint that he had. But before then, he was a 6-time WWE champion. He was a tag team champion, like twice or 2 or 3 times before, right? He was the first undisputed champion in the sport. He was a WCW champion, 2-time WCW champion. That's when the invasion angle occurred. He was an intercontinental champion. Like, he did a lot of stuff a lot of guys wanted to do. He main evented so many different main events, sold out arenas, carried the company on his back and his shoulders, starting in the year 2000 when Stone Cold Steve Austin was out. And that's when you really saw the emergence of The Rock and what he was really going to become. I remember 2000 vividly, and I remember Stone Cold was out, and The Rock was, he was everything for them. Everything really drove WCW. That year drove WCW out of business for real. Because anytime you put The Rock in a ring with anybody, Triple H, Undertaker, Kane, Chris Benoit, Kurt Angle, you saw the emergence of Kurt Angle during that time period. Like, anybody you put him in a ring with, he was the Dudley Boys, he was delivering. And it wasn't like he was just the most fantastic wrestler of all time, like William Regal, one of these super fantastic wrestler that does complicated moves. It wasn't even that. The man had in-ring psychology that could not be beat. And that's the reason why a damn elbow drop. He made it and jazzed it up to make the people's elbow drop like people didn't even think the move, oh my God, it's a ridiculous move. Everybody would just stand up and all waiting for him to do this move because it was just that dope. You know what I'm saying? That's how I know his impact on wrestling. He has to be the biggest superstar of all time, right? And I mentioned all them different times he had those titles. Just think about it. He had short title reigns, right? Short title reigns, he lost a lot of main events, putting guys over, right? Kane lost to Goldberg, lost to Brock Lesnar. He lost to his arch nemesis, Stone Cold Steve Austin, twice at WrestleMania, right? You know, lost a lot of times. He won a lot of them too, but he lost a lot of times, had short title reigns, and was still able to have record ratings. Still was able to have record-breaking ratings, numbers, going against some of the greats, Hulk Hogan, you know what I mean, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Undertaker, Kurt Angle, like I said, Brock Lesnar, Goldberg, going against Triple H, so on and so forth, Mankind, all these different people, Mick Foley, all them different people, and he was able to just be that, like, bro, I promise y'all, like, on that microphone, you wanted to watch his promos. Some guys I couldn't watch. They were too dull, too boring. They were just too, like cookie cutter. The Rock would say some of the shit he would say, the jokes. Like, you can't tell him jokes now, but the stuff he would say was just hilarious. And I was a little kid at the time, right? And then for two, like, you know, at that time, I was a young kid when wrestling, like, 99, what? I was about, 6? Like at 99, you know what I'm saying? I was like, yeah, 6 years old. I didn't understand like, oh, biracial and stuff like that. When I see a guy that has my similar skin tone, you know, I'm looking at The Rock like, man, that's a black dude. So of course that identity, I found somebody that I can identify with in the sport, and a lot of black kids across America did. But just think about how global The Rock made wrestling. Wrestling had crossover appeal into Time magazine and all these different Saturday Night Live and all that type of stuff, just because of how charismatic and how like the magnetic aura The Rock had around him. All them different people wanted to have The Rock on a show to talk to him because he was this interesting guy who the women loved. He was like voted one of the most beautiful people in the world and all that type of stuff. The guys thought was super cool. The guys thought The Rock was super cool. Women loved him. He can identify with two different ethnicities. Samoan. He was half Samoan, half black. Came from a wrestling background. And all of those things. But it really just wasn't like just his ethnicity and the good looks that had him just people marveling at him. Again, that charisma on that microphone, the way he could talk, the way he could deliver performances, he had great matches with a lot of people. The way he could sell moves for guys, like, I don't know, man. Just I remember that time period. The way his cool, the bravado with y'all remember when he had the sideburns and he had the Versace shirts and all that type of stuff? Like, he was just playing with it all the way through and through. And again, man, you seeing that image, like that was easy to sell. You know what I mean? The Rock packaged it up. He did the work for sure. But when you put that in like that, when you put that product in front of the public, they gonna eat it up. I used to watch wrestling. My grandma would watch wrestling, and I could be watching like Stone Cold wrestle. I could be watching Jeff Hardy, the Hardy Boys wrestle. I could be watching Chris Benoit. I could have been watching Eddie Guerrero or somebody, and she ain't in tune like that. But I remember the first time she saw The Rock, she said, "Who was that?" Right? Saw this charismatic dude, half black dude. Which at the time, we just looked at him, we just thought he was black. I didn't even know. I mean, he had the nice little sleek hair or whatever. But like, yeah, she like, who is that dude? You know, because his energy was just that, like, I don't know, man. Everybody gravitated to The Rock. Grandmamas, mamas, never watched wrestling, but they wanted to see The Rock come out. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. That was different. That shit during that era, that Attitude Era, it was just something else, man. Like the rivalries that he had, catchphrases, the way he can get the crowd to play along with whatever he was doing, the way he was able to still be loved as a heel. As a heel, Hollywood Rock, that shit is gold. The way he was using singing voice to sing and antagonize crowds and piss them off, and the way like he would just use the catchphrases to go against people. He would crack jokes. Like, and the way he would ooze machismo coming to the ring. You know when he had the damn, when he was Hollywood Rock, he had the vest with the shades on, with the low haircut, man. He was coming with the Samoan tribal tattoo on his arm. I don't know, that Rock was it was just entertaining as hell. And he had the slow that is cooking, that little thing. Then, I mean, do you smell what the Rock is cooking when he had the Nation, the Nation of Domination little mix on the intro? Man, y'all, The Rock was he was a different superstar, right? And even when he came back in older age, going against John Cena, that did record-breaking numbers based upon what The Rock was to that sport. People, grown folks older than me, was wanting to see The Rock back in the ring, man. Because he left at 30 years old, so we feel like we didn't really get to see him for a lot of all the time people got to see Undertaker span for 20-something years, right? Triple H and them do it for 20-something years. We saw these great wrestlers span for that long. The Rock was only a short, 7 years. 7-year window where we got to see that man elevate, perform at a high level, and then he rolled off into the sunset because his crossover appeal was so big. He was getting so much money from the movies, getting so much interest from doing movies. It was just like, why the hell should he be wrestling still? Like, them people was calling for real. But I think about all the different, like all the iconic moments that The Rock had, from imitating, Stone Cold and all of them, to like, I mean, talking about Billy Gunn in the promo, to I'm talking about Stephanie McMahon and them all the time. From all them different crazy different matches and stuff he had, it was phenomenal. And you really had to live through that era to see it, because even the older version of The Rock, when guys get older, they don't have the same. They get older, they grow, they mature in a lot of different ways. he don't have the same. Dwayne Johnson is not the same as The Rock. He was The Rock back then. When he came back to wrestling later, he was Dwayne Johnson. You know, the Rock was just didn't give a damn, didn't give a fuck about whatever he was saying coming out of his mouth. He was arrogant, he was brash. He was super, super confident, arrogant too. And then, I mean, in the ring, of course, in the ring persona. He was just, I mean, he'll fight anybody. He was doing crazy stuff. He was, I mean, like, I don't know, man. I watch the wrestling now and I'm like, that shit was a golden era. Golden era that you really had to live through. Watching The Rock in ladder matches, table matches, watching him in triple threat matches and handicap matches and so on and so forth. I'm watching him against Haku and Rikishi in a handicap match. Watching him with him team up with Trish Stratus, taking on Vince McMahon and Kurt Angle, and then him and Trish Stratus teaming up to take on the Dudley Boys. It was just all. It was that era. That era was fantastic. They named a damn show after one of The Rock's catchphrases. SmackDown was named after The Rock's catchphrase, and he used to say The Rock Show. This is The Rock Show. Then he used to, just having a crowd play along with him. The millions and millions. That shit was gold. For real, man. Saying his catchphrases. I mean, come on, man. Like, it was just something else. The merchandise. I was so into the character. I had The Rock on my seventh birthday. I had The Rock on my birthday cake. I wanted to be like The Rock because he got all the girls. He was strong. He was muscle bound. He was cool. You know, he was, I don't know. It was just he used to win his matches. You know, he was the champion at times. So I just thought it was just simply, it was dope. It was dope, man. And, but yeah, seeing The Rock carry the business in 2000 like that and put WCW out of business, that shit was like, wow. That's when it was clear, like, The Rock was, because it was like, nobody has ever gotten close to The Rock's superstardom outside of maybe Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold Steve Austin. And they never reached the pinnacle The Rock got to me. Like, they were titans in the sport. I don't know. I think The Rock eclipsed that. Some people disagree, but I think The Rock eclipsed those. He eclipsed the status of those two individuals. Because the stuff that he was doing, man, like you said, like I said, Saturday Night Live. They made a damn, you know, when he did the Mummy Return, they had his own movie starred in for the first time, that the Scorpion King. Like, yeah, man, having them on TV shows, interviewing him, people were seeking him out because they was like, who is this guy? Who is this dude on wrestling that got the world captivated? They got everybody just like stopping in their tracks when he talks, when he walks down that ramp. Who got like, yeah, man. I've been going on and on and on, but I feel like The Rock is the greatest superstar to ever grace professional wrestling, period. That's the WWE/WWF, WCW, ECW, all of the above. The greatest superstar ever in professional wrestling. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video, so on and so forth. I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. I'm out. Peace.